Konnichiwa, and welcome to the Win, Make, Give podcast. Bob Stewart, I am continuing your education on saying hello in multiple languages. I've already forgotten any languages that I've done, so if I've already done Japanese, please forgive me. Yet, Bob Stewart, now you know how to say hello in Japanese. So I say to you, my friend, konnichiwa.
Aloha to you as well, Chad. I'm recently back from Hawaii, where I think aloha is hi
Hello
and
and goodbye. I think we used that one already. So I think I taught you that before you went.
Okay, thank you. You.
Right.
You made me seem like a real local over there. They were all super curious how I got so pale being a local, but we pulled it off.
Excellent, Bob Stewart. Look, we get to this some weeks, and our audience knows this. Some weeks we've been planning for months for an episode, right? Like we've been like, oh my God, diving into detail and research. Some weeks it's on like Monday or Tuesday, I'll message you and say, hey, Bob, here's the topic for this week. Or you'll say, Chad, here's a topic I found for this week. And we'll do a little research so we're ready to go. This topic I found out about 4 seconds ago, right? I opened the webinar and said, Bob, let's record this. I said, what the heck are we talking about? And you said, you've got a topic for us today. Do you want to share where the inspiration for this came from?
Yeah, I'll share. I'll just tell you right now, I've cried more in the last week and a half than I have probably in 30 years. It might even be that I have since I was in 40 years, Chad, in the last week and a half. And here's why. I'll share the story. My family was on vacation, and I got a message on basically like the last day we were on vacation from one of my closest friends in the world, from his niece. And she was reaching out to my wife and I to let us know that he was in a coma in the hospital back here at home. And this was my college roommate. And
you've shared stories about him before.
Yeah. He's one of my closest friends in the whole world. He's in my wedding. Our lives have taken divergent paths, let's say over the last 10 or 15 years. Right. But he still is at every one of my kids' birthday parties. Like they call him Uncle Lance, right? And so we come home. So here's the short version of the story.
Hug you.
Thank you. The short version of the story is he's out of his coma. He's coherent. He's talking. He's not quite back to Uncle Lance that my boys know, right? But there's a path potentially where he'll recover from all of this, and so it's had me for the last week and a half. Like first, and you and I were talking about this earlier, like facing my own mortality.
Yep.
Right. Like I haven't had any close friends of my age group, right, die or really even be close like this potentially. And my wife's had some experiences with it, so I've watched her go through a couple times in the last 10 years. I've lost grandparents, and I'm super thankful, Chad. I still have both of my parents, and I remember talking to my mom when my grandma passed away, and then my mom lost her sister. I still have all three of my brothers. And her talking about, you really like when your parents are gone, then you're starting to like face the fact that your generation is next, right? And then when you lose a sibling, it's like, holy shit, like my mortality is here, right? And God willing, I'm still many, many, many years from losing a sibling. Potentially, I might be first. I'm the oldest, but man, it's just really hit me hard. And so I've been just thinking a lot about friendship, right? Like, what's a true friend?
I think that's so powerful, Bob. You're right. I'm blessed. Similarly, I have lost, my dad has passed years ago now. So I did have to deal with, he was my stepdad, but he was my dad, right?
Yeah.
I had to deal with that. Mom's still going, but none of my friends, as you say, we've had people that somebody would text and, it'd be like, oh yeah, I knew that person from high school, or, a celebrity that we all know, we hear, oh my gosh, an actor died, but we weren't close to them. I have a group the way you do. There's 6 of us, and we still text every day. That we have a chat group that's going every day on, ridiculous things from sports to someone saw an Instagram video they just want to share and make fun of, whatever it is. So I understand, and I'm really excited to dive into how powerful and important friendship is. And I'm stalling, folks, to give Bob a second to regain his composure over there.
I don't know. It's going to happen all throughout here. The reason this came up, though, is because right when we got home, my boys were still on spring break. So we get home from vacation. We get home at like midnight on Wednesday night. And Thursday morning, like at 7 a.m. is when you can be at the hospital for visitation hours. I'm up right then. And my boys, they're early risers. So we're all up anyway. But they're like, Dad, where are you going? And, Minnie's like, hey, he hadn't shot a basketball in a week. We took the basketball and he dribbled it all over the friggin' resort, and people were annoyed by it. But he's like, I don't give a shit. Like, you're not getting away with my dream.
When he's a big star, they could say.
He's dribbling everywhere, but he hadn't shot. So he's like, I wanted to get out and shoot. And so I had to sit him down and tell him, like, hey, I'm leaving and I got to go see Uncle Lance. And I was explaining to him, we all have friends, right? I hope. I mean, I don't know if there's anybody out there listening that doesn't have any friends. If you do, I'm sorry. You're probably a total asshole. But, we all have friends, right? But who are those friends in your life? Like that's one of those friends, but he would show up anywhere, anytime. I could call this guy at 3 a.m, be like, I'm in jail in Omaha, Nebraska. And I don't know how long it takes to drive to Omaha, Nebraska, but that's how long it'd take before he was there. Like, he's just one of those people, right?
And folks, if you, before we even go any farther into this episode, if you have that friend, text them right now. Send them a message, because look, Bob's on vacation and he gets this message. He may never have had the chance to speak to Lance again. It could have gone a completely different way. Folks, text them right now just to tell them you love them, just to tell them you appreciate them, just to tell them that you've got that friend, right? And some of them, I have a few, like I said, I got that group, but I have a few friends, like I'll say, Ben and I, we don't get the chance to talk that often because we're on opposite coasts, opposite schedules. But if that guy texted and said, need you here now, I'm running for an airport, right? And folks, if you have a friend like that, let them know that means everything.
All right, so it's just this things I've been mulling through in my head, Chad, for the last week. It's some of my criteria for my closest friends.
Okay, love it.
So I'm gonna run you down the list, share thoughts, give me feedback, and
All right. How many
we got I don't know, 6 or 7. Okay, maybe.
So not 5. All right. So over the last week, every day, basically, Bob has found something that is criteria for what a true friend really is.
And look, my friend Lance is every single one of these things. I'm not going to use him as the example in all of these, but so the first one is trust. This is a guy I'd trust with my kids and my wife and inside my house, and right. And honestly, in 30 years of being close friends with him, I've never once thought, I don't trust this guy. It's not even been a fleeting thought, right? So to me, just I trust him implicitly with every single thing that my life has in it.
Now, Bob, how long and I know Lance isn't always the example, so even if you think of some of the other people that qualify in this, would you agree that you have known them a long period of time? Because trust is built and earned, right? Trust isn't something like, oh, I just met this guy at the pickleball court and he's a really nice guy and magically I trust him. No, trust has to be built over time, built through experiences, and earned in a relationship. So that's where, I mean,
I think it's different for different folks. Like I take my wife and my wife is the type that when she meets somebody, she's immediately suspicious. Not because of anything they did. She's just one of those types, right? She's like, okay, you got to earn my trust. I'm a little bit the opposite. I'm like generally showing up and like, I trust most people, right? Unless you start giving me some red flags. Like my default is I trust you until you show me I can't. So, each of our personalities is going to, become to trust somebody quicker or slower, right? And I think of Josiah in our world, who I would absolutely call a friend. I've only known Josiah now for, I don't know, 7 years or whatever. But I trust that dude. Why? Because we have a lot of interactions and it's, I've probably just as much trust in him as I have in my friend Lance, who I've known for 40 years. And Josiah and I built that trust over 7 years because we're constantly interacting the last 7 years, and he's constantly making promises and delivering on them. And
that's the key right there, right? It's making promises and delivering. It's saying, I will get this done, and doing it. Trust is built. Trust is earned. Yes, there are people like Bob that are going to give you trust until you burn it. And then there's people like Aaron in that situation, which are going to be suspicious of you until you can earn the trust and come the other way. It always comes down to earning trust. And I remember situations with friends that trust was questioned. Right. And then realize, like, I've been accused of, I can't believe you did this. And the trust was lost until it came out that I had never done that. Right. It wasn't me who did that. What'd that do? That just built even stronger trust to say, okay, you took it, but it wasn't you who I should have been blaming in the first place in that situation.
I mean, it's a perfect roll into the next one, Chad, which is loyalty. And
there you go.
Like, I don't have any question that if somebody said something about me that wasn't true, and my friend Lance was there, or somebody said, hey, your buddy Bob was talking this about you, or I don't have any question that Lance would stand up for me. Like, he's just almost to a fault, just loyal, right? He's he's like the most loyal human. And so, and loyalty, I think it's even more important that my friends are loyal when I'm not there. You know, like, they know who I am. My friends know who I am. And I want to have friends that will defend me and be loyal to me, even when there's no direct benefit to them, or I'm not witnessing them do it. Right. So loyalty through ups and downs, and when our businesses were falling apart and when things were going great. And, when I had my first practice marriage and he flew all the way out to be there with me, and then was there when I came back with my tail between my legs before I met my forever wife. Like, this guy is just loyal, right? And he's proven it time and again for 30 years.
Yeah, folks, loyal, that's a powerful word. It's one of that. Promise is one of those words to me that you only use when you mean it, right? And loyal is another word that is an ultimate value of mine. I just had one of my buddies in my group, as they were saying, got to meet Nita finally for the first time. He was down here in Florida on a vacation, so we got to meet. And the first thing she asked them when they sat down, she said, was, if you could describe Chad in one word, what would it be? And that was the word, right? It was, he's loyal. He will be there in a moment. He will be there. He will have your back 100%. And she said, that's the thing that I know about him as well. Folks, look, here's the thing. You don't have to be loyal to everybody. You should be loyal to yourself and know yourself, and then you'll know which people deserve your loyalty. And yes, a true friend, Bob, you said it, is loyal almost to a fault. Like, even if you were wrong, they would still defend. There's no way Bob did that, right? That didn't happen until they heard from you. Yeah, I was an asshole and I did that, right? But they would be loyal 100% to a fault. That is a true friend.
This is one of like my favorite qualities in my wife. She's like, just when you're her person, she's deathly loyal to you.
Yes,
and I love that. But this just rolls right in. Honesty is the next one. Okay. I'm going to use Ben as an example here. He's a good friend of mine, because your true good close friends will be honest with you even when it sucks.
Yep.
And that's actually really hard to come by. Now, most of my buddies, a lot of my friends I've been friends with for 30 to 40 years, right? Like, my close circle of friends are guys that I grew up with and went through college and experienced my early adulthood with. I still have a core group of those guys.
Yep.
They'll be honest with me. Like, you know how it goes, right? With a group of 6 guys that you're buddies with, like, they'll be honest. But Ben, I love the way that he's honest with me as a friend. Like, I might have shared this recently, but he'll call every once in a while just check in. And so he'd done that recently, and I forget it. I was talking about Carter, and he had said something. He said, hey, listen, is it okay if I give you some feedback? And I'm like, absolutely, man. He said, I love watching you post about your son. He's like, I have a concern that later in life you might regret not celebrating your other boys quite as much as you do Carter right now. He's like, look, it's just something I wanted to say. Don't take it the wrong way, because I think it's awesome how you're celebrating. But it gave me pause. I'm like, you know what? I like publicly, I do celebrate Carter and his basketball stuff more than I'm celebrating Chase, even though I love my son Chase just as much, right? He's got awesome skills that aren't basketball, but it's made me, kind of refocus and think, how can I, be more balanced in that one little portion of my life that a good close friend of mine was willing to help me kind of, make me aware of, right?
Yeah,
So just honesty.
that is a great one, Bob, because you're right. We have those friends that are going to be honest with us, and then we have friends that are going to be honest with us, whether we want to hear it or not. They're going to come out with it.
Here's the thing, though. These things all go together, Chad.
Of course they do.
Because I don't want to hear your honesty.
Trust.
Yeah. I don't want to hear your honesty about me if I don't think you're loyal to me, right?
Right. Absolutely. Right. If you don't have that loyalty, if you don't have that trust, the honesty can't come, because I'm not going to either believe you, I'm not going to listen to you at all, or you're never going to be in a situation to give it. So these cascade perfectly into each other. But I had an intervention at one point in my life where people came to me that were true friends, that were loyal to me, that were honest with me, that I could trust completely, and said, what are you doing in this relationship? You need to get out of it. Right. And completely opened my eyes to things that it didn't matter that my mom and my dad were yelling it at me as loud as they could about, you got to get out of this relationship. It wasn't until truly the friends, the ones with and mom and dad usually, for most people, have your back. They're but it was friends that truly, when they stood up and said, we don't like what we're seeing, because they were honest and they didn't care if they hurt you to be honest, because it needed to be said. That is a true friend, Bob.
All right. The next one is like, they're always cheering you on. Like, no matter what, they're cheering for you, right? And look, I've seen a lot of, like, in my professional career, I've had people I thought were friends that there's jealousy, right?
Yeah.
Not that I've this amazing professional career, right? But like, I've seen it. I can't imagine some of the jealousy Ben experiences with people. There's this. And so to know that I have a friend like Lance who is always going to be cheering for me, even if my life's going way better than his life, or my life's going way worse than his life, but I'm doing something good. That guy's always going to be in my corner. He's always going to be a cheerleader. And some of us have friends that we know aren't actually that happy for us when we have good things happen, right? And look, we could question whether we should be calling them a friend or not, but you guys have them. Like, we all have somebody in our world that's like, I know that person's not actually happy for me in the same way that my friend Lance is, right?
That's the difference, probably, Bob, of a friend to a true friend, right? They might have some loyalty to you. They might have some honesty with you. They might have some trust with you. And they're probably celebrating for you when it either has nothing to do with them or benefits them to celebrate you, right? Yet when you pull away from them, then the lack of true friend shows up, because now it becomes the jealousy rears its ugly head, which then pulls the other pieces of that friendship apart, starts to take it down. Maybe they hang around and they're kind of that, my wife likes to use the word, Nita likes to use, they're an acquaintance, right? They're not necessarily a friend. They're someone who's around, who maybe you have a laugh with now and then, maybe you'll grab a meal with, but they're not a friend. They're an acquaintance in that situation. That's the first three, I think everybody, if I said, write down 3 traits that would be true friendship: honesty, loyalty, right? Trust. This is a great divide right there, Bob, to say, are they always in your corner cheering you on, even when it pulls you away from them, even when you're doing way better than them? You're right. Ben probably very quickly found out who his true friends were as he started to grow the organization. There were many people who jealousy showed up instead of friendship, or I'm going to leave this organization and go somewhere else, instead of how do I help, how do I support, and how do I cheer you on daily?
All right, next up, the my friend Lance is one of the most consistent friends that I've had through all the years. And so I never wonder like where I stand with him. I never worry if I haven't talked to him for 6 months and then I call to invite him to my kid's birthday party, right? Like I've never once in 30 years had him say to me, well, you seem too busy for me, or right, or I called you, I texted you last week and you didn't reply, or there's this level of consistency that I know that it like he's there, right? Like, and I don't have to prove my friendship to this guy, right? And I think over the years I've had people, I've heard those things said to me, right? I've heard oh well, we haven't talked for like we haven't talked in 6 months, like just I don't, we all living our lives, right? Like I want to have friends that I know they're going to show up. I know they're going to be there, whether we were just together yesterday or we haven't been, together for 6 months, right? And so he's just a consistent friend, and I can always count on him. He's I don't have to wonder.
That's a great one, Bob. I mean, up until here, we were friends, right? But you've been missing a few weeks of the episode. The consistency hasn't been there. So obviously I have to question the friendship now. Yet you're absolutely right. Consistencies are great. And do they always show up? And here's the thing. I hate it and I love it at the same time. When I connect with my buddies from high school, it's like we were in high school. I mean, it doesn't matter that we haven't seen each other all together except for on Zoom in 25 years, right? I haven't been around many of them but we can pick up like it was just yesterday because there's the consistency of friendship and it doesn't rely upon what have you done for me lately.
All right, next up, mutual effort. Like he tries in the same way that I try. And by the way, that's not, there's very rarely balance in that.
Correct.
Right? Sometimes my life's super busy and he's the one responsible for putting the energy into maintaining our friendship. Sometimes he's in the hospital and I'm the one responsible for putting the energy into maintaining our friendship. So this is a guy that, again, I mentioned, for the last, let's say, 15-ish years or so, like our lives aren't parallel. Like they ran parallel right next to each other. He was my business partner early on out of college. I spent all of my 20s with him and his twin brother. From age 18 to about 34, I was with Lance almost every single day, and we built a business together and like all the stuff, right? But over the last 13 or 14 years, we've led different lives, but he always makes an effort. There's always an effort, right? He's always invited me to come to their little pool party, or he's always, even when we can't make it, right? He's been invited to every single one of our kids' birthdays and the family dinners and all the things, right? We're not always able to show up for each other, but there's this mutual effort that goes in where each one of us is showing the other one that, that we're putting energy into the friendship. Ben's great at this, even though, I don't expect, weekly check-ins from Ben, but he's good at really, he'll just call one night and be like, hey, I haven't talked to you for a while. Like, how's it going? Right. So, I mean, there's a lot to be said for all of us have busy lives, but to make that effort in a friendship is a big deal.
A one-sided friendship's not a friendship.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's just a stalker. Right. In that situation, if it's one of you that's always texting the other, if it's one of you that's always calling the other, if it's one of you that's always showing up for the other and the other one's, that just starts to get creepy, folks. True friends have that mutual effort. That's a great term for it, Bob, that creates that relationship.
All right. And my last one is...
wait, you can't do the last one without the recap moment.
The recap. All right. Here's the recap. You ready? Trust, loyalty, honesty, cheering in my corner, consistency, effort, mutual effort, right? Yep. And then the last one would be no judgment. Like, look, I've led a interesting life. Questionable, sure, maybe at some points, absolutely. I've made awesome decisions and horrible decisions, right? I've married an amazing lady and I had a really shitty one. I made bad financial decisions in our business when we were business partners. I made great ones. And through all of those, I've never, ever once felt judgment from my friend, right? I've never once felt like he thought I was dumb because I made the wrong call on that business move. I've never once, I'm free to be who I am around him without any fear of judgment. And I think in a perfect world, Chad, we'd all move through the world like that, giving no F's about anybody's judgment. But that's not the reality, right? The reality is you're constantly aware of how people's perception of you might be or how they're judging you. And I never have to, worry about that with my closest friends. So that's my list of a couple reasons why I'm incredibly thankful that I've had my friend Lance in my life for the last 30 years.
All right. So,
and many more to come, by the way, but
there you go. Right. And many more to come. Folks, I said it at the beginning. I'm going to say it again. If you have a friend that fits these things, they hit Bob's criteria of what a true friend is, send them a message, right? Send that text, send that message. I'm going to send it as soon as we get off this to the group I'm in. They're all going to ask me what's wrong. Right? They're going to say, are you dying? I mean, that's what they're going to say when I say something nice and genuine to all of them. Because that's the kind of friend, friends will be like, oh, why are you saying this stuff? Right? But folks, take the time. Say it. If you have a friend like this, share this episode with them. Say, hey, send the link, right? Say, check this out because you're this person to me. And let them know, because it makes all the difference in the world. I saw someone post just the other day about how their day started miserable and their day was horrible and this went wrong and that went wrong. And I commented on their Facebook post and I said, look, take a deep breath, send 5 text messages to people that are important in your life and tell them that you're grateful for them. The guy messaged me later that day and said, holy crap, I can't believe something as simple as that changed my mindset for the day. Folks, when you have true friends, you're never far away from getting your day turned around if it's going in the wrong direction. Don't hesitate to connect with those people. Bob, we appreciate you sharing your story. We will all be sending good thoughts. By the time this episode drops, hopefully he's 100% hanging out, shooting hoops with you and your boy. And we'll be watching your Instagram story to see your other sons get featured.
There's one on there right now. My son, they had signing day at school today. So, well, you won't see it. 4 weeks from now when this drops, it won't be on my stories anymore. But we were celebrating Kellen Roberts signing his college letter of intent today, Chad.
Where?
He's going to Mesa College in San Diego to play baseball.
Congratulations. Congratulations to the family. Congratulations to him. I look forward to having his baseball card on your wall with all those other baseball cards when it happens.
Wait, have you seen him over there? You can see him?
I can I can't tell who's what, but I can see them. And we've talked about them. Folks, until our next episode, as always, do good.